Welcome to Legal Studies, and today we're going to be learning about the purposes and types of remedies. So where are we in the study design? Well, we've just finished off learning about what happens leading up to and during a civil trial. Now we're thinking about what happens afterwards. We're thinking about the consequences, and we call these consequences remedies. And the two remedies we're going to learn about are damages and injunctions. So damages essentially is when the court gives you orders that you be paid some money. An injunction is when the court tells the defendant either to start doing something or to stop doing something. So what exactly is a remedy? Well, as I said before, it's a consequence. It's what happens when it's what you get when you win the trial. It's an order made by the court to try and essentially its purpose is to try and restore the plaintiff to their original position. This is the main purpose of all remedies, really. Wherever possible, you've suffered some loss. Let's try and put you back into that original position as if that loss had never happened. That's usually what we're trying to achieve. So let's look at our first type of remedy, damages. And there's a number of different types of damages, and each of them serves some subtly different purposes. So for example, compensatory damages, as you might think from the name, its main purpose is to try and compensate you for the harm that you've suffered. So we can split this up into three different types of compensatory damages. First of all, we've got specific compensatory damages, and this is awarded to someone when it's possible to specifically calculate how much money they need. So for example, we might think here of medical expenses. If you go to the doctor, if this is a negligence case, you've been someone's pushed you out a window and you've broken your leg, and you had to go to the doctor and get an X-ray, and that X-ray cost you $800. Well, we can specifically calculate that amount, and we can ask the defendant to pay you that exact amount back. So this is specific compensatory damages. We're compensating you for the exact amount of money that you spent. On the other hand, some types of damage can't be calculated, and we just have to estimate how much they're worth. So for example, trauma or emotional anguish, that sort of thing. You might have really been quite afraid after you were pushed out the window. You might have suffered really seriously emotionally, but we can't put a specific dollar amount on that. We don't know exactly how much your mental trauma is worth, so the judge has to give an estimate, and the judge might say, well, I think the value of your trauma is about $10,000, and require the defendant to compensate you for that trauma by paying you $10,000. And then finally, in terms of compensatory damages, we've got aggravated compensatory damages, and that is intended to compensate people for any humiliation that they've suffered, any feelings of humiliation. So this is often a type of damages that's awarded during defamation cases, because often when someone ruins your reputation, you feel quite humiliated. Again, that can't be specifically calculated, so we have to provide. The judge has to sort of create an estimate of how much that's worth, how much we should compensate you for. Then we've got exemplary damages. The purpose of that is to punish the defendant. So let's say, for example, the judge decides, okay, we're going to give you some compensatory damages. We think you need to be paid back $800 for the cost of the X-ray that you had. That's how much you need to be fully compensated for that. But on the other hand, this person's behavior was so bad, I also want to punish them, and I'm going to make them pay an extra $20,000 to you. So that is an extra amount that they'd have to pay beyond what they would need to give you to restore you back to your original position. They're going to pay extra so that the judge can feel like they've been punished appropriately. Then we've got nominal damages, which is when the judge decides, okay, you're not really after money. Instead, what you're after is recognition. So the judge might say, all right, you win the case, and I'm gonna order the defendant to pay you $1. But more importantly, I'm going to order that they recognize that they were in the wrong and you were in the right. So, for example, famously, Taylor Swift has sued people in the past, paparazzi, for their poor treatment of her, and she didn't ask for any money because she didn't need money. What she wanted was for the court to recognize that she had been treated poorly, and that's what the court did. The court said, yes, she's right, she's in the right, they're in the wrong, and she wasn't seeking much money at all because the money didn't matter to her. Contemptuous damages are sort of like the opposite. That's when the court says, all right, well, technically, you have won this case. Technically speaking, we have to recognize that you, the plaintiff, are correct, but why did you waste our time? I can't believe you took this to court. Get out of here. So they might say, all right, technically you've won. Here, have $1 and get out of here. So an example of that is a company, the Pokemon company, sued a website for making T-shirts using Pokemon images, and technically they weren't allowed to do that. So the Pokemon company won, but the court said, well, we're going to give you a very minimal, contemptuous amount of damages, like $1 or something like that, because technically the website shouldn't have been making T-shirts with Pokemon images. But you know what? You weren't even making T-shirts at all, so they didn't cause any harm to you. You'd refused to make these types of products. And so you won the case. Yes, they have caused some, they've technically done legally the wrong thing, but get out of here. You've wasted our time. All right, so those are all of these are our different types of damages. Now let's think about injunctions. Injunctions are when the court orders someone to stop doing something or to start doing something. And the purpose of an injunction is to try and rectify a situation. In other words, to try and fix something. And as I said, there can be a restrictive injunction, so forcing you to stop doing something, or a mandatory injunction, forcing you to start doing something. Some examples of these might be a restrictive injunction might be the court might say, no, you need to stop. You cannot demolish that building. All right, stop doing that. Or, on the other hand, a mandatory injunction might be you need to go and complete building that building. You said you'd build it, you stopped, now you need to go and finish it. And for the most part, we're looking at trying to solve a particular problem or fix a situation that is broken down. And that's the main purpose here of injunctions. And that's it. I'll see you next time.